Hey guys, I just did some 1v1s. I'm just gonna go over it because I think like towards the end of it I came up with an idea that I think is really strong. But to start, like this is Isidis Crack. I gotta turn this down so we don't get feedback from the headphones into the microphone. So here's like a really safe opening. Basically, the most important thing is that you want to have energy. And I've been trying some weird things, and this is the first time I'm looking at this replay. So we'll just kind of compare. I think he's okay. This one he went ticks, but for the mostly this guy is a very aggressive player, Bruno. But towards the last replay, you'll really see this come into fruition. It's a very, I don't know if I want to call it defensive, because it's just like, it's a grunt maxing thing. It's just like maximizing the number of units that you can have. And sometimes it's different varying on the map, but like Isidis, it has really high wind. So what I do basically is I'm trying to keep my bar as full as I can. So this match I really didn't do a good job. Because like I'm juggling this around. I want my bar of energy like just barely, hopefully like not overflowing or just barely overflowing. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong person's eco. Alright, so my bar is a lot fuller. So you notice like already he was probably stalling there. He's going to open up with pawns because he wants to be super aggressive. When you make aggressive units to open up, you are sacrificing any long-term potential from your build, which is why I'm vehemently against that. But like basically, before you ever start assisting your factory, the only time when in the beginning where you should be making anything other than wind is when your bar isn't filling up. And towards the end, I'll show you, I don't finish my mexes. I don't finish my first max until I get like a wind turbine or two up. And it's crazy how strong it is. Because the sooner you get the energy going, the better. So like, let's see at this point, I should have been, you should assist the factory just to empty your bar so that you're not wasting or overflowing. Build a radar super soon. So this is gonna help me a lot. Or this helps me so much. If I can turn on player view, it's not really, it's kind of showing you what the radar range is. But my first thought is I'm gonna make a con, so I open with a con. I'm just, you know, chilling, E-maxing. I'm making a second con, and then, oh shoot, this is coming out. So I immediately cancel the con, which is something that you just need to be willing to do. And then I just start assisting out grunts, as many as I need to defend. So if we pause here, now he's got his cons out. He actually has 2 cons out, and he's already been aggressive. But actually we're close to the energy produced. Somehow he's ahead of me. See, this is why you watch these replays. Like, I could have done a better job. We wasted about the same amount of E. He's going to send these out, I would imagine. Idle comm. This is, don't ever send your comm out this early. Like, spend all your metal before you send out your comm. And if you're gonna send it on a trip, it's probably your best bet is to have it grab a max and then come back. And this goes for any map that's wide open, where you just need the build power on your factory to keep pumping out units. If it's a laney map and like an 8v8, like, it's different. You need your comm front. You need to secure all the mexes as fast as possible and efficiently as possible, and getting your comm to the front is the way to do that. So you wouldn't be sending your comm back. You'd be eating your lab and building it in the front. most of the time. Anyway, the radar should help me here. Like I had this set to attack the pawn, and of course they lose track of the pawn or just don't do it right or whatever. But I'm sneaking in more cons whenever I can, and then I'm gonna build a grave robber to defend this, and I'm feeling pretty confident here because I should be ahead on metal. If I'm not ahead on metal, my opponent's comm walking, and that's not going to work out for him. I'll make sure that my comm is on low priority and my expanding cons are on high. So at some point I should do that, and the sooner the better, because when you're spreading out, when you have no metal in the bank and you're spreading it out, you want it building the metal extractors first. The sooner the metal extractor gets built, the sooner it starts paying out again. If you're overflowing E, I could have probably snuck in 1 or 2 E converters here, and that would have solved a lot of my problems too. It wasn't like my comm just sitting on the factory with a full bar of E is not like good. So whenever you catch that, whenever you're overflowing E, you should be making an E storage, or if you have no metal, you'd be making a converter, or a combination of the two. If you do have the metal, it just depends on your situation, or how late in the game it is. But I will make sure that I'm specifically resing this construction bot, and I'm probably not going to catch it as soon as it builds, but eventually I'll have it building again. So if you look at the army value, my comm is still in the base. This isn't a vehicle build where you just walk off and you can have one con or nothing assisting your factory and you'll be completely fine. Vehicles are broken. And then you want to start resing as soon as you possibly can. So I have the res bot out because I have to get this construction bot repair or res as soon as possible, and then it'll be resing the rest of this stuff. And the wind's probably not going to be nice to me, or I had a lot of situations where the wind dumps. So the sooner you get the e-storage up, the better. And when you get e-storage up, it's like it guarantees that your build power is being used, and you can get a con turret up with that without it being a risk, that sort of thing. Whenever you are lacking in a resource, your first priority should be to build, or to get more of that resource. Nothing else takes priority over that. And nothing should have to take priority over that if you're doing it right. The wind dumps, I'm like the wind on this map is 15, so I avoid making solar, but sometimes you're just gonna have to. And I feel like once you get this guy's been attacking me and he hasn't been doing very much damage, so I'm pretty confident that we're either even or I'm ahead. So I feel comfortable blowing a little bit of E on something superfluous like a solar. I needed it in that moment anyway. So, yep, we're just gonna res the con. We're all good. And then I'm usually really defensive when I play core bots, but as I'm prioritizing getting more E, I can get more grunts up. And there's another signal, is that this guy keeps attacking me. He's giving me units to res, so I'm gonna have more units because of that. He's probably, instead of making units, he didn't make as many cons, so there's that. So I'll feel like I have more eco. And I'm actually doing so good that I'm gonna start wasting metal. So another thing is, I do need to make sure that my comm is on high priority when I'm building these wins, and I need to make more construction bots. Oh wait, I keep getting the ecos messed up, but basically you just keep on sneaking in more and more construction bots wherever you can. in around 5 or 6 minutes, 4, 5, 6 is usually when vehicle lab goes up because they're broken. Blitzen and Sizer, and basically their vehicles are super light on E and build power for what you get, so that's why it's a given that you build them every game, because no thought has been put into the balancing between the two. Like pawns and grunts used to be really cheap, but they kept pushing it up and up and up and up. And then what they didn't do at the same time was push up Blitzen and Sizer, so are not nearly as like hard as a nerf over the years. I think it's been years, but incisors are kind of the broken unit when you have metal to spend and don't have the E to build grunts. So this will also, like, I'm gonna sneak in LLT wherever I can. When you're making you don't build LLT early, because when you're building an LLT, you're not making a max. When you're not making a max, when you're not making max, you're not increasing your income. You're not increasing your income. You're not building more cons to get more max, to build more units, to that sort of thing. So, like, the whole idea is to maximize your economy as much as you can without making such a deep sacrifice that you just lose. And remember, you always have the defender's advantage when you're defending. And if you build a radar really early, you can get way more efficient trades, because your opponent can't actually see what he's doing unless he builds a radar right on top of you. And he gets some value here, but like I did over time, like my army value went up a whole lot with the rezzing, and I couldn't tell you like exactly what things he did wrong, but I have more windmills, I have more power. I know that much, but that's kind of how it went. I guess we can speed through this. At this point, it's just breaking through LLT, and then I do have to keep playing, because like he's gonna be rezzing and all that.
Commander,
I'll switch to Incisor eventually, and if I see a very obvious comm kill, I'll take it, but never int your army into a commander. It's dumb. I had like a full surround of like 30 units that got around it with the incisors. I'm mostly concentrating on the early game.
Welcome, Commander.
I was watching some games earlier. Like, if someone's making air, just make a few fighters and shoot down all the stuff, and then you can get off the lap. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a replay I saw earlier where this guy just kept like clawing his way back in the game because the one guy was refusing to build air to shoot down all the gunships. He was instead making whistlers, even though he's like super far ahead and couldn't afford basically anything he wanted. So Emaxing, I'm already like 100 energy produced, but like early on, I'm not even sure. Okay, this is non-starter. If you have, always take the spot with the most rich mechs. Obviously, don't walk your comm when you don't need to. So like a map where you would need to walk your comm would be like Comet Catcher, something with no wind if you really wanted to. Well, I think it's just like the meta on Comet Catcher. No wind, you have to build solar. Solar's way more expensive on the energy. I also, people see people building like way more solar than they need before their lab. I think it's dumb. You can have the lab built and then make the E afterwards. You won't overflow, and you'll have the build power of the lab. Anyway, that's like we're looking at a wind map right now. We're just riding this bar. I think I built the radar too early in one of these. Yeah, this one tanked my eco. Because I didn't realize that, oh wait, this costs a lot of E. So you can hold off on... The radar gets built really fast and costs a lot of E, but you can get like one or two, a few more wind up before you build the radar. But the point is just get the radar up as fast as you can. And then you can greed until you see units coming at you. Then you can push everything into... Oh god. Put everything into... units. The huge advantage of this is that you're going to be ahead on energy, or should be. Well, I'm not sure how he keeps managing to be about the same or ahead on E compared to me. I mean, I have more mills, so I don't know what exactly is going on that, other than he has this solar. Maybe that's been carrying him through. Let's take a look at it, because he's even building a con turret. So this is obviously this is like an auto resign. Like, why did you even decide to do this? Hope you learned a lesson. I sound like I'm being a dickhead about it, I guess, but this is the situation you're in. You're almost out of metal, and you built a con turret with no metal to spend. So he's gonna end up, he's overflowing E so bad right now. So I think the reason he's ahead on E is that he got the solar, and he had one less mechs to take, so he could build a little bit more wind earlier. But now he has to resort to a comm walk to make up for that lack. He's building a construction turret. But don't build a construction turret this early in the game, because construction bots are just as good or about better than a construction turret. They produce E as well, and then you can send them out later. And it's more of an incremental sort of scaling. So, like, he's being aggro, or he's trying to, but he didn't send them all the way, so I have the opportunity. It's in range of the radar, so I can just go seek and destroy. And whenever I get a feel that I'm ahead, oh geez, he's got around, so he's gonna go down here and he's gonna poke up, and it's gonna be really annoying. He's actually ahead on build power, or on army value, but whenever he gets close to me, oh no, the wind dumped. So this one I think took really long time, because I tried eating that tick. It's so annoying. I think this might have been the match where he caught me with, like, I've been win maxing. So I'm not making the E storage early enough, and we'll see that I got super punished for it at some point, and it might have been this match. But if I'm overflowing E, my what I should be doing is either getting a build storage, or E storage, or build turret up, or more cons, anything to expand my potential to spend and keep the E. So this sucks. He's got a few wins here. He's 4. Finally take it out. But I was honestly expecting a better build order from this guy. But this is the difference, if you're wondering. I think over the matches I was getting better at not sending my units into these turrets, and then he gets to res the stuff, and it's just really annoying, so it keeps him in the game. Accidentally built an aggravator. I think at this point, I mean, I should have, built more wind. Made sure that my res bots were resing the wind here. Making sure that these con turrets building wind that I need were on high priority. I'm juggling this attack in the front, so I have to be very careful to not leave my army unattended for too long. So I'm kind of getting better at I'm not going to send my stuff out unless I'm confident I don't need to micro, or just like leave it on the outside, like the guy can see it, it's there. I'll look over and probably see whatever's happening. This guy's just staying alive on pure res and defensive units, so eventually the Centurions will make their way over here and they'll be annoying for a while, but ultimately my economy is going to be better and my units are more mobile, so I can just, by the time those ever get to my base, I'll have done plenty of damage and he'll be down a bunch. Or up a bunch of res. And, oops, idle res bots, and then a big blind spot here. And I took a little too long to deal with this, so he gets to like wrap around my base, and this was really annoying. So he got all of my wind, and then these con turrets were still trying to build these other con turrets. So I was like, I'll eat this con turret. That con turret never got finished. And then the wind was so bad that this one wasn't getting finished. So I had to like micro the solar, or like micromanage this and make sure that they're building a solar here. And they kept getting stuck on this construction turret. It was super annoying. And he got my e-storage too. Almost. But the response here, I correctly put at least my comm on wind duty. But this was really bad. And then it looked like I was gonna overflow on metal, so I built a metal storage. We're resing the wind slowly but surely. Not too many of them can. Like, this guy thinks that he may think we're on an even match. He's like doing good. He's getting all this res, but res is great, but I have twice his economy. And he can, make the chunky units that walk real slow and can be annoying and drag the game out for a little while. But ultimately, as long as I play it right, it's fine. I knew these were gonna end up here, so I just gave this up and sent these straight here. I thought I was being clever. It's really hard to, like, keep an eye on these, so I did a pretty good job with that, looks, and I actually kept my eye on that. Brutes are pretty good against Centurions, so I was doing Centurions. Brutes are good against Mace and Thugs as well, so long as the Mace or whatever don't have a height advantage. Brutes are really good going into fighting against T2 as well, a lot of the time. Like Sheldons and Hounds suck. You just send brutes at them, and then the Sheldons just have to run away, and they're not doing any damage. It's great. So eventually I get enough E, and I'm gonna need more E storage and converters if I was being really good. And right now would be a great time to get more build power, but I'm slow. This evens out for a second, but if you really look at it, like, I have 9k metal produced, I have stuff in the bank, I have probably have more build power, way more build power. It's just, this is like an obvious resign. If you have less than half of the map, it's time to, it's like, go next. But you'll get this false sense of, you'll think it's clever to switch to bots and do mace and centurions, but they're super slow, and they're only good for defense because of that. And they're not even really that great at defending. Like, grunts and pawns beat... They're basically the best unit in the game. Except for Blitz. Incisors are pretty good too. It's just like, you know, what's the best decision for your economy at this particular moment? If you're wondering when you go to T2, it's usually when both players have been able to pork up and no damage can be done further with the units. And it doesn't happen... You have to be equal on so many different things for that to happen with your opponent before you can get into T2 on these big wide open maps. So he continues to like have... He's constantly resing things, so I have to get ahead of him on res. It just took a while to get my win going again, but I needed to make way more cons earlier, I think. And converters. I'm finally building converters. Like, if we look at how much E was wasted, yikes. It's like... That's like... 108k. That's 10k metal right there. If not more. Like, definitely more. More than 10k metal. If you just divide it by 10, but it's more like 0.7. It's 70 E per one metal. So he's got even more wasted E. And then at this late stage, he's finally like, oh, I'm so clever. I'm gonna build a bunch of bombers. Well, I did make a mistake here. I started building this thing, an eradicator. It's really good. Just don't build it early. Like, you need an abundance. It's just look at the price and think about, can I afford this? What I didn't really think about is, like, I had to grab these and like do this as fast as I can, but then I was like, I switched to eating so I could get that last bit. So we did get some con turrets. We do spread out the con turrets. And this is why. He did get a whole bunch of them, so they're not as spread as they really should be, but this is how I like to make my base. And I'm just not out of the habit of building them in a different way. I still have these con turrets here. It's completely fine. You just have to finish them off. So you really should at some point be going air. So if you're also, another thing to do with your XSE is to go air. Air is great. You're only gonna get a little initial value out of it against a good opponent. You should expect them to shoot down your gunships or whatever you're doing pretty quickly. So you'll get a moment, but like, these will swing the game if you just don't bite the bullet and build like one fig to shoot all of these down. And then after that, with the air, you can start taking mechs with air cons or air transports, whatever you want to do. Oh, no, I skipped a match. So this is just like a 5-match marathon of Isidis. Like, I think this one is not this one. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna watch these in order. We're watching the 6-minute one. This one is like I had an idea today and I executed it and I felt really good about it. And I'm like, man, I think I figured out this game finally.
Welcome, Commander.
Build order wise.
Battle started.
So I'll start the mechs just enough so that I'm not going to overflow the E. Then I'll finish the mechs. And then I'll build more winds until I don't think I'm going to overflow anymore. And then I sneak in another metal extractor. And if I still have room for another wind, I will add in another wind. So it looked like didn't need that, so I just made another one. And wind is really the wind is really good right now, but this is, you know, it's minimum 2, so you never know what you're gonna get. It should stay up at a reasonable place above, you know, whatever it says on there. Current risk 6.6 to be at or below 6. It's lots of 6s. So I may have built that radar tower a little bit too early again. But these things build really fast. It'll chew through your E really fast. So I gotta stop doing that because now I'm stalling, and stalling is bad. This one is all about how do you defend an early attack. And I guess this wasn't very early, but the wind dips, and I am refusing to switch off wind on a map like this unless it's like 0. So we're gonna put off building this radar from now on, just so I have stuff in the bank, because early on building a wind and a bot shouldn't put you too far behind, even if the wind dumps. And it'll keep you ahead on metal. See, when you build that, well, if you're this, I'm not against what he's doing here, is expanding with his comm with a vehicle build. That's kind of how you're supposed to do it. I think he could have fit in more blitz early. Maybe an extra blitz. You see how like you can have rovers on non-stop repeat and they cost basically nothing. Blitz will eat through your metal much faster. This makes a whole lot of sense, right? They're 3.5 times the unit for less than twice the build power. It's dumb. Yeah, I guess we kind of missed this part, but I saw it coming because I had a radar up. And I had plenty of metal in the bank. And E coming in to start pumping out grunts as soon as the aggression starts. And he's not going to stop. He's just got the rovers on repeat. You see, this build kind of sucks. I guess you could be more aggro with it. Some particular players love rushing out blitz. So maybe this isn't like the best example of it, but this is kind of basically what they do. But I was ready for it. I had 2 cons out expanding. I'll want to have a third. You just gotta be willing to build that radar and build units and sneak in cons whenever you can. Of course, have your expanding cons on high priority, because if you're stalling on M, you're not gonna get more M with a high priority comm on your factory. Your mechs will never get built in a reasonable amount of time. which is, I was watching this one guy's stream, and he's like 50, he's almost like, he's like 55 OS. So, if he can get 56 OS, stalling his mechs, then there's hope for you and me. It was so triggering. It made me so mad. Or maybe not mad, but it was triggering me. Yeah, I was so triggered. Oh my god. It was just like, oh my god, please stop doing that. Like, you're making these games so much harder than they need to be. It's just so perplexing. Like, just get your eco in order. And you'll have more units to micro furiously with. More toys is more fun. And the logic was like, the way he explained it to me is just in like, do you honestly believe what you're saying? I don't understand. So this was a super aggro build, and now he's making a conturret while stalling E, so that's not very good. If you're stalling with vehicles, which are basically free energy hacks, you gotta iron that out. Do not stall like that with vehicles. So he really wanted to do damage, but like with all that furious microing, some things got I think he fell behind on the eco. I don't really think that vehicles are that great of a choice on this map to open up with in the first place. But I mean, this isn't the best example. I would love to take some looks at some like really good players soon. I just never get around to doing it. They're doing the res action, and yeah. If the person's being super aggro, you can usually assume that their economy is in shambles. So, you don't like once you fend everything off, you just go ahead and go destroy him. We got 2 more. And then I can eat my Thai food. Or go to bed.
Welcome, Commander.
Or stay up and play Balatro. Which is not like the last thing that I want to actually do. Balatro. Oh, sit up straight. I am parched. I could really go for some water right now.
Battle started.
Okay, well, yes. If you open up with 3 metal extractors, your only choice is to make a solar. You'll see the energy produced. I should be way further ahead, but I'm not. So it'll show in a second why if the wind is high, like, okay, so I was on the solar train for a long time, but I find you can get away with solar for a lot of maps, including glitters. But once you're getting into the nitty-gritty of really being able to juggle your economy, the metal that you save going wind is just insanely good, but it's just a lot more involved juggling all this stuff going on. So this guy I guess if you're gonna go vehicles, you want to have all the mechs because vehicles are metal heavy. So, once you int all your army, you're gonna need cons. So, like, you think this is clever, but as soon as, like, someone like me who, after 2,000 hours, finally figures out a safe opening and is willing to build a radar and pivot during, pivot from constructors to more units, then, yeah, look at that. This is a super early blitz. And it's just not that scary if you scout it. You might even get that. I just shrug it off. You build that, if you build that early, like, okay, you're just about, he's about ready to start stalling, so you better, you know, this is the time where you expand with your comm because you just have no other choice. And my response is I'm going to just go send all my stuff over there. On any map where bots are viable, you just have to get crazy value with your blitz. And don't get me wrong, blitz are absolutely broken to a stupid degree. And I would say what really irks me is that the skill gap between the skill requirement for maxing out win like this is insane. And like the wind is super high in this map, so it's possible. But if this were if you're playing a map with no wind, like just forget about bots. Unless it's a lane map. Because then you can thug walk. But this is 1v1, so this is not the situation. I mean, I'm sure other people, I'm sure you can prove me wrong in some degree, or with prove run of my opinions where I'm holding two at the same time. She can prove one of them wrong. Oh, he wants to play. I'm gonna go to bed though. Smoking the last of my weed, you'll win. I don't know. This last match was kind of a meme. So I guess I did show it a little bit, but go ahead and try this. I think you really want to maximize your win or your energy. So when you go to open up, start your mechs enough that you're not going to overflow while you build energy buildings, and then you finish the mechs. And we think that you're going to overflow, you start with the next mechs, and then you repeat the process. So you'll, in the end, you'll have a much more stable energy metal or something. Hold on. Hold up. Oh, that was a that was a conversation. What was I talking about? Make bar videos? Yes. Yes, sir. Oh man, I don't want to edit. This is like private conversation that I'm calling attention to. Yeah, especially, okay, so if you, any map really, you just want to maximize how much energy you have, because the faster you get the energy up, the faster you start taking, the faster you start building cons, then you start taking mexes, and then it blows up from there. As long as, like, there's more fundamentals that you build on top of that. So you sneak in more cons to build more max, to build more E, that sort of stuff. But really what I want to emphasize is that you need to get that E as soon as possible, and you're not really giving up much, but a few seconds, like maybe 100 metal, so that you can get even more metal faster later. Yeah, just try it out. I feel like this is a huge thing. I think it's like big brain, and like I think I just like figured out the game. Now I just have to like start throwing it at people. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Peace.